What happened in Finland, man? What
On
happened?
Sunday, Finns headed to the polls to elect a new parliament. Now, since the last elections in 2019, Finland has been ruled by a centre-left coalition led by the Social Democratic Party. Now, this coalition was originally led by Antti Rinne, a veteran of the SDP, but he resigned as Prime Minister just a few months later
And then the girl
after
came.
mishandling trade union protests. And this made way for Sanna Marin. When she came into power,
I always felt very bad for Sanna Marin because she was obviously, no joke, mistreated for just being a woman, man. All around the world, the male politicians, politicians paying them off. They grab them by the look at Berlusconi, look at politicians everywhere. The woman goes to a party, a house party with her friends. How dare she?
Marin was just
Ridiculous, thank you, men.
34 years old, making her the youngest Finnish Prime Minister in history by quite some margin. And at the time,
What's a
she was
woman?
also the world's 4th youngest state leader. Since then, she's become a bit of a political rock star, well known across Europe. But unfortunately for Marin, while the
I like the
SDP's
stuff she
vote share
said about
has
Ukraine. That
increased
was I
slightly
like that
compared
shit
to
a lot.
2019,
She was like, how can we stop the war in Ukraine? Well, every land has to be given back to Ukraine. That's how it is.
last weekend's election, her party
Wasn't it
lost
an
to
orgy?
the centre-right National Coalition Party, who will now be tasked with trying to form a government.
Center-right forms of government. But I never understand what that means, a right government, different country. Is it like AFD? Or are they like racists? Or what are they? What do they do?
So in this video, we're going to take a look at how Finland's elections and political systems work. What happened in last
like
weekend's
CDU? Oh, okay,
election,
okay.
and why
Then why
Sanna
use the word
Marin
right? That already gives such a weird... I don't know. Yeah, right is very different in every country.
So,
As a
let's
German
start by
right
taking
is
a look
like,
at Finland's electoral
Scheiß
system.
aus,
The
oh
first thing
man,
to say here is
no.
that Finland has a semi-presidential system of government, which means that it has 2 sets of national elections. Elections for the president, who basically oversees Finland's foreign policy and is elected every 6 years, and parliamentary elections, which happen every 4 years. Now, last weekend's election...
If you ask me what we have in Germany, I don't. In Germany, we have every 4 years we choose our government, and the biggest party, the biggest party, makes the president. We have the state ones every 4 years, where you choose the same for your state, and every 4 or 5 years is the EU vote. And also you can vote for the mayor of your city. So you have 4 votes as a German. I think so.
Elections were parliamentary elections.
5? Which one is the 5th? No, not true. You do not vote the Bundespräsident. The voting of Bundespräsident is invited people. You have to be invited to that. That is not true.
Elect Finland's next parliament, prime minister, and government. For these elections, Finland uses a proportional representation
Imagine
system
having
over
elections.
13 multi-member constituencies to select 200 MPs. Now, because the number of MPs in each constituency is proportional to the constituency's population, Finland's parliament usually reflects the electorate's vote share. So if a party gets 20% of the vote, chances are they'll get about 40 seats, plus or minus a few. Now, because Finland has a proportional representation system, coalition governments are the norm. And for most of recent history, Finnish politics has been dominated by 3 well-established parties. The centre-right Kokoomus, known in English as the National Coalition Party, the centrist Centre Party,
Centrism.
and the centre-left Social
Communist
Democratic
scum.
Party, commonly known as the SDP. Now, since
Who
the
will win the
80s,
Turkish
these
vote? I have
three
no
would
idea about Turkey. I would think Erdogan wins because he's probably influencing it hard, but I don't know shit. When is that vote?
usually get somewhere
Turkey?
between 15 and 30% of the total vote each. And whoever came out on top would
In
form
May?
a coalition government, normally with the backing of a whole load of smaller parties.
He might actually
However,
lose.
in the last
Let's
decade
see, I
or
have
so,
no idea.
Finnish politics has been disrupted by the rise of the Finns.
If I was the EU, I would work so hard to become friends with Turkey, man. Turkey should be a democratic powerhouse, man. A Western capitalist powerhouse, man, that accepts our way of life, while also obviously that was wrong. You know what I mean? They can still be Turkey, but come on, join us, man. Be with us. You know, I want Turkey to be my brothers,
Party,
because you're my brothers, Turkish people. Join us, man.
previously known as the True Finns.
The True
Now, the
Finns.
Finns are basically...
Yeah, that's... I was just about to say it's probably old white men. The EU doesn't want us, though. You're fucking retard, man. The EU gave you billions of dollars already.
a right-wing populist outlet, founded in the mid-90s as the successor to the Finnish Rural Party, who focused heavily on immigration. Now, for the most of modern history, the Finns have polled at about 5%, but they achieved a massive electoral breakthrough in the 2011 election, winning 19.1% of the vote and 39 seats, overtaking the Centre Party to become the third largest party in the Finnish parliament. And since then, they've become...
They gave that money for refugees. When a country becomes eligible in the pre-phase of joining the EU, which is Turkey, you get access to a certain European money fund that is pushing millions and millions of dollars into your country. For example, right now, Serbia, the Balkan before they joined, and Turkey, to build you up for the EU. That has been going on for, I think, over a decade now. You're talking dumb shit, you have no idea what you're talking about. Stop getting more educated, thank you.
A major player in Finnish politics. They became the second largest party by seats in 2015 and formed a coalition government with the winning Centre Party. And despite losing half of their MPs in 2017, their more moderate offshoot, the Blue Party, still did pretty well in 2019.
We know about the politicians are stealing the funds. Well, that's your local problem, though. If you're Hungarian or Turk and your president is stealing all your money, then it's not the big evil EU, man. The EU is fucking giving you money. It's building up your country. But you listen to the fucking propaganda. Oh, the EU is so evil. Even though it brings so much prosperity to your fucking country, man. But you're too dumb to see it.
Second again. But this time, the winning party was the SDP, who refused to form a coalition with the Finns on ideological
5 minutes, Lisa, 5
grounds.
minutes. We have
The
to get
SDP
pizza.
instead formed a coalition with the Centre Party and 3 other small left-leaning parties.
That's what democracy looks like, man. You don't just have 2 parties, man. You have actually... Imagine something like this in the USA, man. Like 6 choices or something.
Antti was quickly succeeded by Sanna Marin. And since this, Marin has had a pretty good tenure by most standards.
I thought that too. She was doing well.
Fared better than most of its European counterparts during COVID. And Marin has been widely commended for her response to Putin's invasion of Ukraine. When Putin was deploying troops on the Ukrainian border, she initially resisted the idea of joining NATO, but quickly came around to it after Putin invaded, and it became clear...
Oh, what a shit politician! She always changes her opinion!
Now, there was a semi-scandal last year surrounding Marin when she was filmed dancing with friends, but
how dare she?
How dare
she? How the fuck dare she? Goddamn woman! You dance with your friends? I will never vote for you again. This is what happens when we let women into politics, guys! Unfucking believable!
Approval ratings all that much. And while there's a fair bit of variation among the polls, a survey by a major
don't go too far, okay?
in
King
December
Cracks, you fucking idiot.
found that 64% of Finns
right to
and
jail, man.
69% of women approved of her
64% approval
That's
is very
why
good.
It came as a bit of a shock, at least to the English-speaking press, when on Sunday it was announced that Marin's SDP had lost to both the National Coalition and the Finns Party. So why was this? Especially considering that Marin was seemingly so popular. Well, as we see it, there are at least 3 reasons.
I like how she's a great example of that. To be a good politician that is liked, you don't have to be old. There seems to be this narrative. Dude, I will totally vote for a 36-year-old in Germany, or a 32-year-old, right? If he has a good system and a good...
They explain these results. Firstly, while Marin was personally popular, her coalition just wasn't. Polling gave the National Coalition a steady lead running into the election. And while Marin's SDP actually did better than they did in 2019,
she can't be part of the coalition
her coalition
anymore.
partners did worse. These results
her
also
teammates.
suggest there was a fair bit of tactical
teammates
voting going on, with
Counter-Strike.
left-leaning voters shifting away from the smaller parties and towards the SDP to try and increase the chances of Marin staying on as Prime Minister. The second reason, though, beyond the changes in her coalition, is that the Finns have successfully moderated their image since their new leader took over in 2021. Now, while the party are still staunchly anti-immigration, they no longer want to leave the EU outright. And
They
they've
wanted to
also
leave the
reined
EU?
in some of
Are they
their social
stupid?
spending programs. The third reason that Marin struggled, though, is that the dominant
I will never
issue
get
in
why
the
people want to leave the EU.
campaign
That
was
must be the
economy.
dumbest shit I've ever
Finland's
heard.
year-on-year inflation rate is currently at 8.8%, and the combination of a generous welfare state and an aging population is expected to push up the state deficit to 3% of GDP
That
in
happens
the
to
next
everyone right
couple
now,
of
though.
years. Now, to tackle this, Marin and the SDP said that Finland needed to let more young migrants into the country, as well as investing harder in health and education to increase the long-term growth of the country.
And you need young immigrants. It's just factual stuff. Your population's aging. You don't have enough people anymore. Everything is falling. You need young immigrants. It's a technocratic fact. It doesn't matter if you're left, right, whatever. It doesn't matter what you believe in. You need immigration, or European countries cannot survive anymore. Proven by so much data, man. And xenophobia is not gonna help you to have a progressive country with a bright future.
However, her opponents disagreed, basically saying that they needed to cut welfare spending in order
Or make a
to
system where
balance
people
the
want to breed.
books.
It's not gonna
And
happen. They're not gonna
unfortunately
do
for
that.
Marin, it turns out that, like their northern European neighbours, Finns are apparently pretty conservative about fiscal policy, which is why they voted for the National Coalition and the Finns, who want to get debt to GDP down to 60%.
Orban be like, I read that Hungary is missing 500,000 young people spots. Like there's 500,000 empty. How to say, when young people go into jobs? I don't know how that's called. Thank you, Georgie. I need to stop, man. Lisa's waiting. Go.
So what happens
No more
next?
pause.
Well, the National Coalition will get the first chance at forming a government, but that won't be easy. In an unfortunate coincidence, the four opposition parties
Like training
won
spots?
exactly 100 seats. Just one seat short of
Oh,
the majority.
shit, wow.
This makes
Damn.
a right-wing coalition with the Finns mathematically difficult, which
Don't
might
they just have to,
force
like,
the
buy
National
off one guy?
Coalition to try a grand coalition with Marin's SDP instead. Now, negotiations are expected to take a few weeks. So if you don't want to be left surprised by the results, as much of the Western media already has been, then be sure to subscribe so that we can keep an eye on what happens over the next weeks.
Okay, they're trying to form a government. Okay.
What are you still doing here, mate? Jeez. Well, if you want to see more, click these videos. Have fun. Looking good, boy.